He just killed the king. A playboy prince caught in a compromising orgy, his reputation ruined. But what's he doing here, alone and uninvited, in the countryside? And why does the air reek of desperation? Let's have a drink. Front count. Unless you don't want to? No, you have to. Who said I didn't want to? I didn't say that at all. Come in, Your Highness. Bring all of that with you. And don't make a mess. MLOI this way. But don't get too comfortable. Holy. The prince is actually here. Buh. Moly. What's he doing here? It reeks of alcohol. And not just from the drink. It's been a while since I drank with someone else. Too long. Is this glass clean? I hope so. Let's see what drinks you brought here. Is the message that this action should have gotten across? Clearly not. Now, let's cheer. But don't think this means I'm going to let my guard down. Pa. As expected of a quality drink. But don't get too excited. If you chug it like that, is that right? I don't drink, so I can't tell if that's right or not. And I don't care. Anyway, front count. Today we must talk about dried fruit. I made it from the fruit I harvested from my orchard. And I'm proud of it. You have an orchard? I didn't know that. Can you see it over there? Outside the window? It's right behind this manor. It's right behind this manor. A small place. I take care of it as my pastime. And my sanity. Oh, well then. Thanks for the meal. Land's dying. Crops wither. And I'm left with nothing. These fruits I grew myself, now poisonous, useless. You want to give them to me? No, I won't take. Eat them? Why would I? You must be joking. But somehow you're convincing me to take a bite. The continent's southern tip, where monsters roam free. Fertile land, perfect for growth, yet cursed by monsters. Every day they invade, destroying fields and crops. What's wrong with the taste? It's the same reason monsters. They invade every other day, a constant problem. Monsters kill farmers, and the land becomes contaminated. Energy from dead farmers poisons the soil, killing plants. The whole area becomes cursed, and nothing grows. Front count stares at his glass, troubled by the truth. Olden alcohol made from the cursed land, now undrinkable. Why grow an orchard in such a place? It's a grave mistake. Everyone has a regret, and now I'm paying the price. That orchard was my regret. A decision I'll never forgive. Now, I'm left with nothing. No way to drown my sorrows. Kick me out if you want, but I'll say it anyway. This land's doomed. Monsters are moving, their numbers formidable and terrifying. Last invasion, living armors, our walls were breached. We're outnumbered, and our soldiers are desperate for support. Front count, we need your soldiers and your leadership. I have no soldiers, my personal army retired long ago. I gave up my title as Lord, and my friends are all retired. I'm left with nothing. No one to fight, no one to lead. Recall your friends to duty? It's too late, they're gone. Innocent lives are being wasted trying to save a lost cause. This front line is worthless. Why protect it and waste innocent lives? Don't waste innocent lives, evacuate now, before it's too late. From ancestors to now, protecting this land has been a joke. Everything here is dying, the land, the people, and my soul. Here's a word of advice from someone who wasted their life, leave. Leave this place as quickly as you can, before the curse consumes you. Your Highness, did you succeed? Nope, I failed. Who said it would work itself out in a day? It's worth putting in time and effort. What happened to the front count? He's been through something. Lucas, do you know something? No, nothing. Ader tells me to hear it from the man himself. A cursed director bastard. Anyway, persuasion is persuasion, but let's do all we can for now. Repair the wall and prepare for war. Let's go back to the crossroads. We have a lot to do. Stage LV. Large sewer rat. Bodies 3251. Bodies. The commander's life is over. He just killed the king, and now the empire will burn. But will it be enough to save them? The enemy is closing in, and the commander's men are nowhere to be found. The soldiers are horrified, knowing they'll be facing a nightmare. Will they survive the battle ahead? The commander's drinking is becoming a problem. For days of silence, and then his friend finally speaks up. Do you have someone you love? The commander is caught off guard by the question. The commander's words are laced with sarcasm and pain. But is he truly alone? Or is there someone he loves in secret? But one thing is certain. The commander's life is about to change. A shocking revelation about his past is about to leave him reeling. The commander's life is a lie. He's been living a false identity. And now the truth is about to consume him whole. But will he be able to handle the truth? Or will it destroy him? The journey ahead will be treacherous. But one thing is clear. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Do you have someone you love? I did. My wife, the only person I loved, my entire life. She died. Years ago. There's a jinx that's passed down to each lord of this land. It's a curse. A curse? This city and your precious person. You'll have to choose one over the other. There was no exception. From the founding lords, my grandfather, and even my father, none were able to avoid this curse. And that moment came to me too. For the past few decades, there was almost no activity from the monsters. Murders ceased. The streets were safe again. It was a utopia. But at what cost? The farm where it all began. You chose. To protect this place, I gave up my wife. Precious to him, what was the problem? The system, the sense of security torn from us. Ultimately, the result of protecting this place with all my life. My wife's dead, my daughter left, and I'm here rotting alone. This is just one example, young lord. Yeah, the city of graves? This city, built upon death, will make you choose as well. To protect this city, you'll have to make a sacrifice. Like a prediction of the unavoidable cause and effect of the future. But we cannot any longer. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. He's tired of the weight, the crushing burden of his role. Can't pass it on to his daughter, no matter how much he wants to. The thought of her inheriting this cursed job is unbearable. He wants her to live freely, to be happy, to never know the pain. He's done it countless times, but at what cost to his own life? He's lost loved ones, friends, comrades, all in the name of protecting this city, this cursed city. He wants to quit, to walk away from it all, but he wants to die in this orchard, surrounded by beauty and peace. Not at the top of the fort wall, where blood and screams fill the air. In his eyes, there's nothing but regret for not being with his wife when she died, The king is dead, killed by his own demon son in a brutal coup. The advisor's sinister grin lingers as he watches the chaos unfold. The demon prince stands victorious, his eyes blazing with dark power. The people are in a state of panic, unsure of what's happening or who's behind it. The demon prince's true intentions are shrouded in mystery, but one thing is clear: he's not going to stop until he's in total control. The prince's face contorts in rage as he vows to take down his father and anyone who gets in his way. The king's loyal subjects tremble with fear as they realize they're caught in the middle of a war between good and evil. The battle rages on, with the fate of the kingdom hanging precariously in the balance. The fate of the kingdom hangs in the balance, and only one side can emerge victorious. The demon prince's dark powers grow stronger with each passing day, and the king's loyal subjects are running out of time. The people are on the verge of a revolution, but will it be enough to take down the demon prince and restore the kingdom? The demon prince's true intentions are finally revealed, and they're more sinister than anyone could have imagined. The battle for the kingdom has only just begun, and the outcome is far from certain. But just as the people think they've found a glimmer of hope, a shocking revelation throws everything into chaos. The king's loyal subjects are not who they seem to be. Or will the kingdom fall to the demon prince's tyranny and be consumed by darkness? The people are running out of hope, but the king's loyal subjects refuse to give up. The battle for the kingdom is far from over, and the stakes are higher than ever before. Blacksmith's workshop awaits, a place of fire and steel. How is it? The blacksmith asks, concern etched on his face. Can't get any better, he says with a smile. But the armor's finished, a masterpiece crafted with the Spectre Knight's mana core. Immunity to physical attacks, the wearer becomes untouchable for seconds. This is more useful than I thought. A valuable asset. I realize I'll use it well, Your Highness, I promise, with gratitude in my heart. If you would entrust me again, I will do my very best. A plea from the heart. Anytime, Your Highness, I'll be waiting, with promise in my eyes. Lucas, yes, Your Highness, a reminder of duty and responsibility. The west field of the fort city, a field of graves and cannon fire echoes. The sounds of the cannon firing to remember the dead echoed in the air. We held a funeral, a somber ceremony for the soldiers who died in the previous stage. I couldn't tell if it was a good or bad thing, a mix of emotions. All of today's plans passed by in an instant, a fleeting moment in time. 20 coffins, a stark reminder of the cost of war. But this is the front line, young lord, a harsh reality check. It's where lives are washed away like a dirt dam in a monsoon. There will be a time when you won't be able to cover it up with just good deeds. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Front count returns to a familiar place for a different reason. He's not alone in his craving, but it's more than just a drink. He seeks the opinions of others, but not just anyone. He wants to know if they're willing to help. They're the ones he turns to with a question on his mind. Z is the response he expects, but it's not what he gets. Their answer changes everything, and it's not what he wants. Their response is all he can ask for, but still uncertain. They agree to help, and the news is music to his ears. Yes, this is the best news he's heard in a while. His excitement builds as he waits for the old guys to act. This is just what the front count needs, some help and support. He's not sure, but he's willing to take the risk. He's desperate for any help, no matter how small. They're his best chance, and he's willing to use them. No need to thank him, just thank the old guys. His thanks are sincere, but also tinged with uncertainty. New Lord appears, and Front Count's world is turned upside down. Thanks for cooperating, Front Count, but it's not what he wants. He'll visit the old guy, but it's not a reunion. Just give me alcohol, he says with a smile. Concern for his health brings a smile to his face. Healthy herbs are sent, but he's not interested. He'd rather have something else, something stronger. He's probably heading to his orchard, alone. Front Count wants to stop him, but can't. Even if he's old, he's a commander, a hero. But he's also lost so much, and Front Count can't bear it. 2 days pass and the stage begins. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Their reckless charge ends in a bloody massacre. Silver soldiers, a paltry force against the horde. The wait is over, but at what cost? The battle lines are drawn, and the fate of the kingdom hangs in the balance. This is more than I ever asked for, but it may not be enough to save the kingdom. The odds are changing, and the outcome is far from certain. The monsters are closing in faster than expected, and the soldiers are running out of time. The soldiers are ready, but what's coming will be different. A massive, monstrous creature emerges from the depths, its eyes fixed on the soldiers. The earth trembles as the creature approaches, its massive feet pounding the ground. The soldiers are frozen in terror, unsure of what to do next. He just killed the king, and now the kingdom is in chaos. But Yuran isn't dying. He's transforming into something monstrous. HKT. His body is contorting in ways that defy human anatomy. This is it. The moment Yuran's transformation begins. His eyes blaze with an otherworldly red glow. Countdown to disaster. Minutes until the monsters arrive. The monsters are coming, and they're not just any ordinary beasts. Lucas, don't drop your guard. The real battle is just beginning. The monsters are closing in, and Lucas's plan is starting to unravel. The ground shakes beneath their feet as the monsters draw near. Come all monsters, and let the bloodbath begin. Who is that mysterious figure lurking in the shadows? The figure's presence sends a chill down Lucas's spine. What's the matter, Your Highness? Damien asks, but Lucas can't respond. Lucas, do you see that person there? Damien points, but Lucas is unsure. Lucas's eyes widen in shock as he realizes the truth. Damien, don't you see that person there? Lucas's voice is trembling. The figure vanishes into thin air, leaving Lucas shaken. The earth starts rumbling, and the monsters return with a vengeance. They're back, and this time they're bigger and stronger than ever. Lucas knows he must stay calm, but his nerves are on edge. But will it be enough to save the kingdom from destruction? The cannon squad readies their guns, but can they turn the tide? Fire. The cannon fire is fading, and the monsters are closing in. Right, let's take out these pesky rats once and for all. 2, that's the number we need. Kill counts. It's time for a rat massacre. Almost 100 rats blown away from the first cannon fire. Kill them, we can't let them get away. All of them. They have large numbers, but they're a piece of cake. You rat bastards. Their numbers are ridiculously large, which makes them crowd more. Pouring attacks within the target range will get rid of them all at once. What the? A mountain of corpses. It's a gruesome sight. The piles of corpses are so big. They're climbing over the walls. The kill zone falling apart is outside my calculations. Cannon squad, target area. Prepare the 2, we need to act fast. The kill zone is far from the fort wall, and the ground is covered in obstacles. It's still okay, we can do this. However, there's one thing I overlooked. They're too fast, Your Highness, it's not easy to shoot them. The running speed of a four-legged monster. Hashtag. Holy shit, that was sick. But we can't stop here. No matter how good it is, it can't defend the entire battlefront. Furthermore, the situation is getting out of hand. With so many, there are too many. The battlefront moved forward quicker than I expected. Yet the sword fragments are doing their part, but the tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Battle-hardened soldiers take aim at the enemy. Soldiers ready to fire, their fingers on the trigger. The commander's eyes locked onto the target. Focus intense. What if they miss? Completely perfect shots. Unlikely but possible. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, kid. I got it. Big bro. I hit them. The Silver Army is no joke. Their recruitment of worn soldiers was a surprise. Amateurs, squeeze your buttocks. It's okay if you miss. Just keep shooting. Even just firing shots will help. They're not just soldiers, they're mentors now. Standing shoulder to shoulder, guiding the young ones. Don't worry, Your Highness. We haggards are of the soldiers. Trust us, we know what we're doing. I'll trust the soldiers. But can they really deliver? The wait is over. The war is lost. Our strongest asset is dead, and the enemy is closing in. Lucas's voice echoed through the comms device, ordering a full-scale retreat. That's too late. The enemy has breached our defenses, and Damien's lifeless body lies before me. But how can we? We're outnumbered and outgunned, with no clear path to victory. The enemy closes in, their snarls and growls growing louder, and I know I must act fast. I grip my sword tightly, ready to face the enemy head-on. But a shocking sight awaits me. Jupiter's eyes lock onto mine, a fierce determination burning within them. But I sense a darkness growing. I'm the one who's been holding back, she declares, her voice dripping with conviction. But I see a malevolent energy spreading within her. The enemy closes in, sensing their chance to strike, and I know I must act fast, or risk losing everything, including Jupiter. I charge forward, my sword flashing in the dim light, but a strange sensation courses through my veins. And then, a glimmer of hope. Maybe we can save Jupiter, and turn the tide of the battle. But for now, the battle rages on, and I must face whatever comes next. The outcome is far from certain, but one thing's clear. Nothing will ever be the same again. Will I be able to save Jupiter, or will she succumb to the darkness within her? The fate of our team hangs in the balance, and I must make a choice fast. The enemy is closing in, and I'm the only one who can stop them. The battle rages on, and I'm ready to face whatever comes next. But for now, the outcome is far from certain, and I'm left with one question: will we survive? The war is far from over, but one thing's clear: nothing will ever be the same again. But as I look at Jupiter, I see a glimmer of hope. Maybe we can save her, and turn the tide of the battle. The fate of our team hangs in the balance, and I must make a choice fast. Will this be the first time we finally clear a stage without big damages? Huh? That guy from before. So I wasn't hallucinating. Create map. Fuck. This hostile NPC intruding. The stage. There are a variety of events that can happen during stages. Warning, it's because all kinds of variables make the game more interesting. Hostile NPCs trespassing are one of those events. I don't even have the director next to me to ask why he designed the game like this. Damien, you see that guy, right? Yes, that bard. Right? Shoot him. Now. What? But he looks like a person, not a monster? That's not important. You have to shoot now. Now I remember who he is. You have to shoot him before he plays Ilm D. Sai. Your Highness? I told you to be my trigger, Damien. If you don't want to see more people die, shoot him now. Hurry. You're mean? Hi, Paiwu? What? What's going on? The rats stopped? They're all coming to one spot. Where are they going? To the center of the wall. That's where we constructed the target area of all the ballistas and cannons. Use all our firepower. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. He's back with a vengeance. A dark figure looms behind him. Their change in movement is too sudden. The rats are closing in, their eyes gleaming. A chill runs down his spine. Oh, the sound of scuttling feet. It's coming from all directions. What are they trying to do? The rats are everywhere. He's surrounded. The rats are ramming their heads into the wall. They're crazy. Why are they doing that? Right into the wall we finished repairing this morning. These crazy bastards. The fort wall repair was finished just hours ago. We only focused on filling in the empty parts. Unavoidably, there is a crack. The sewer rats are slamming their bodies into it. They're hitting the wall with their heads. They're bending metal with their claws, biting rock with their teeth. The wall is beginning to crack. In a way no other monster could do. The rats are relentless. In that moment he sees a glimmer of hope. It might be just me, but the bastard looked like he was laughing.